Okay, guys, welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
What's up, Raco? How you doing, man?
How's it going, buddy?
Go. Let's go.
All right. So the first thing I want to ask is when you first read the script and you see it's like a rock and roll horror film, like what are your first thoughts of all of the script and when of course when you're doing the film, the old school vibes, like the rock and roll horror vibes?
Well, I know we wanted to keep it really authentic and make the characters feel like they had that hit in the 90s, right? Like we were this
Yes.
big thing in the 90s, right? So that was tricky just to, get the wardrobe together. So because a lot of us were scrambling. We all did our own wardrobe kind of. Like they gave me a little money.
Really?
They were like, go thrifting. So I spent 2 weeks just hitting every thrift store I could to try to get this, to try to get the look, and like I remember the hardest thing was to find like the big fur jacket.
Yes.
We all talked about the Galen, Charlie and I talked about like we want some that like ridiculous, iconic, Perry Farrell jacket, you know what I mean? And it took forever to find it. I was actually already in France and I had my friend Ariel Vida, shout out to Ariel. She went thrifting and then she found one on Facebook Marketplace and
Oh
drove like
my
an
God.
hour away and then shipped
Wow.
it to us and found two different options and then shipped it to us in France. So
Wow.
it was like, and we got it last minute, but like it was so important, I know, for everybody to like find that kind of 90s thing and make it as real as possible. Uh, so yeah, that was a big part of it. You got to keep the grunge alive, and that's
I um I had an easier wardrobe thing. I didn't wear many clothes in this film, so I
okay.
was just like, you know what? Who's some of my idols in 1996? And I'm like, let me pull out some Chris Cornell wardrobe, a denim jacket, necklaces, and no shirt. So I hit thousands of crunches before coming to France. So I'm like, let me look good. Let me look like this rock star from the 90s. And just let's keep it open. Let's have tank tops. Let's get them shoulders buffed. It was fun. It was fun, man.
I remember when I
So
first saw you at the VMA thing, I was like, oh my god, you're just nailing this. Like you're like you
Yes.
had the chain, and you're just like you had the total
remember the sideburns?
yeah, the sideburns and the like 90s, like I don't
So
give a fuck attitude. Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of
And
fun, man.
you definitely have to have the abs shown if you're gonna do
I
all of
mean,
that. So
yeah, they're long gone. They're long gone.
It's been about a
and
year now.
It's all right.
and basically like the film is about the band and they were once on top and had a hit and now they're trying to find their way back and have another hit and meet up with someone and that they go to their place and try to make new songs and stuff. And how did you both get into like the rock and roll head space, like getting being like the rock and roll lifestyle?
I think for me, well, I fortunately got to record a bunch of the vocals, like they're all my vocals. So, and Charlie actually recorded some of the music, and so he was there when I was recording all the vocals, and
Nice.
then a bunch of the guitar stuff is actually the guitarist in the film Tim Joe. So I had a couple weeks just to like go in the studio and rock out and like really get into the vibe of this band and the vibe of that kind of 90s music. And
Yes.
and oddly enough, we had all Tim Joe and I had been in a band together before. We'd known each
Oh,
other for years, and because we all did a movie together called Band Slam years ago with and that was Galen, Charlie, Tim Joe, and myself were all in Band Slam. And
Good
so
film.
yeah, you like it? You seen it?
It's a good film.
Thanks, man. Uh, so yeah, we Tim Joe and I had been in a band together, and then Charlie and Tim had actually been in a band together, and I think they still play a bunch. So I think, we had already had this like rock and roll camaraderie, and Tim Joe and I had like already played shows all over LA. We used to have a residency at the Viper Room, for months, for like a year. So like we did the rock and roll thing for real years. So yeah, I think it was we had 10 years prep time.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And Rob's just a natural rocker. I don't know if you know this, but he is a drumming beast, this guy.
No.
Yeah.
Benny, I will say acting was an accident in my life. I came to LA at the time as a touring drummer. So I hated acting. I was like, no acting, put me on stage. And then they put me on stage. It just was through acting. And I'm like, oh, this pays way more. Wow. All right, cool. And so I found a way to balance the two. And my last 3 projects have been about musicians. So I'm like, obviously there's a niche here to be like, let me do both. This is fun. You guys, Ryan has it and the rest of the cast have it, where it's like you can't fake a musician's attitude. You just absolutely can't fake it. You gotta know what it's like to play in front of 5 people and 5,000. There's just something about it where you're like, I'm on stage for me, whether it's, like I said, no one or a lot of people. It just helps when you have more vibes, right? But I'm like, I'm going to be behind a drum set no matter what. I'm in my world. So that prep and then being able to say words to it, I'm like, I've been in these situations. I've been in the situation Miles was in. And I'm like, all right, this is fun. This is very fun. So, lucky to have a good cast to also drop in and be like, hey, guys, what's up? Yeah.
Nice. And when you guys go to the castle, like it has a lot of dark twists, and that's what makes it like the horror movie once you get to the place. And how was it like filming there, like filming in that creepy looking castle and actually being in France?
The castle was intense. I'm not gonna lie. The castle, I mean, it was beautiful, and like there's so many amazing little nooks and crannies. I hadn't even explored the whole thing after being there a month. There were so many little spots, but it was intense because it was scary and it's creepy and it's dark and all those things. It's also 1,000 years old, so that means there's 1,000-year-old mold. And so pretty much everyone in cast and crew had what we dubbed castle cough.
David Castlecoff.
It was just a slight, it's just like right below the throat, it's like just a little bit of a cough, everyone. And then 24 hours after we got out of there, everybody's like, my cough's gone. I was like, weird, castle cough. So. And the other thing about the castle, again, amazing, beautiful, incredible. I would totally go back. But after a month of running up and down 3 flights of stairs, my room and Rob's room was the very, very top of the castle.
Oh no.
Well, all my wardrobe was also at the very, very top of the castle in my room. So in between every scene, it was just up and down these castle stairs, running across the castle. I think at the wrap dinner, I think about 50% of the people said their least favorite thing about the castle was stairs.
And let me say something. Building a castle is incredible architectural engineering. Stairs weren't exactly developed to the way they are now. You have a lot of, like, one step is this big, one step is this big. You know what I mean? Like, I'm tripping, I'm falling. By the time I go up and change, I'm damp. By the time I come to set, like, I'm just all over the place. One thigh is bigger than the other. It was fun. It was fun.
100%.
So,
yeah.
And spiders. Let me tell you about spiders. There's normal spiders, and then there's castle spiders. Castle spiders can speak to you. They're so big that you can hear them breathe. So I can do without castle spiders for a while. That might be the cough. It's just baby spiders right in the bottom of your esophagus.
Exactly. Just little castle cough spiders is what they call them. There's that one section of the castle that, like, I think Allie was staying there one night, the drummer, she plays the drummer. And she eventually moved. I know the director for photography was staying there, but there were just bats. You just went down the stairs just from his room, like a couple stairs, and it was where the dungeon was. You know,
Oh, no.
just the whole bottom of the staircase was just bats. And they were just always there, you know, and then the sound guy, I remember he had like a squirrel that never left his room. It was there the entire shoot, just running around. I mean, he would just be like, "Yeah, the squirrel kept me up all night again. I was just running around the roof." Yeah, there's a lot of critters in that castle.
And legend be told, to get into character, Charlie would wear the armor to go to sleep. And we heard some, like, we had to oil him sometimes. It was a strange shoot. But, you know, inevitably we did get into it. I slept with a sword. I don't know why, you know? Rock stars, man.
Exactly. And you know, while you were filming in France, did you go out and eat any of the good French food?
There was one place Galen took us that was incredible. I forget the name of it, but it was after a couple weeks of shooting. But we actually had an on-site chef who cooked, you know, 3 meals a day for us. This guy Chris, who was incredible, and he was amazing. Yeah. Except for the first day that Rob got there, the food. The chicken was undercooked. It was the first time anything had been undercooked. And Chris felt so bad because it was like the first day he's there. Everything had been like 5-star, like gourmet, you know. And the first day he shows up, like the chicken was a little undercooked. And
nothing like a little medium rare chicken. Let me tell you, I thought it was a French delicacy. Well, medium rare. But I will say, in Chris's defense, he then went in and recooked everything. Like, he made us another dinner. So, like, just next level. Something happened with the stove, and I'm like, these guys, I wish I had them on every film. Yeah. And just the way it was done, family dinner, but not like catering. Family dinner, like, you know, I don't know if they slaughtered the chickens that morning. It was that fresh when I'm like, I could get used to this. This is amazing.
Chris, Chris film. I mean, he went all out.
Just great people.
Yeah. So yeah, and that was the cool part about it too. It wasn't like a bunch of different, you know, tables and or people going to their trailers or anything. Like, we all sat down, we all had family style meals like every day. So
oh wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And of course, without giving too much away, is there a scene that you both had the most fun shooting?
I had to wear a lot of prosthetics into this, and so I had fun, but I did grow my facial hair out for this. I was on a job the week before, and in that I was pushing hard to get a beard out, and so I had to wear this prosthetic. So I would say 90% of the scenes that were done at the castle, I couldn't move. But we had so much fun because I would turn into Ryan and be like, but it was real pain of my beard ripping out. Of being like, oh my God.
It was just hours of him with his mouth just completely glued. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh, I felt so bad. Like, anytime they'd be like, so how's the lighting? I'm like, guys, we got to get Rob out of this thing, man. He can't breathe, man. Can we shoot this thing? This poor guy's like sitting here just, you know, he's like has like one little spot with a straw. He can get like, you know, a Coke, you know what I mean? It's just.
What were those French energy drinks?
That's right.
Yeah, I had like.
It's like middle of the night. You're like sipping a French energy drink out of the little one spot you can get. You fit the straw. Oh, it's brutal. I'd say I had a lot of fun doing the band stuff. You know, just I think actually the scene with Rob, the VMA stuff of us just like. Yes. Rocking out on stage, like that was real, and that was fun. And like, we actually had people, you know, we were you know, playing the playback, but we had some of the people come in that were like friends of the people who own the venue, and like a little kid came in, and you know, and they were all like clapping and freaking out like it was a real live show, you know. So that scene was a lot of fun.
Yeah, stage dives, having fun. Me and Ryan had a moment during the lyric that we shouldn't have, that was captured on camera, and we couldn't stop giggling for the rest of the show. We were just giggling and being like, I think we just fell in love, man. Just embrace it. We're rock and roll. It was so hilarious. It was authentic moments captured on camera, and I would say the most fun, probably that intro scene of just grabbing the phone and being like, like there's so much where I'm like, I get to be a dick. This is very fun. And in that, you just hold space for it, and everyone was incredibly professional. But we just dropped into being these characters, which are inevitably pretty close to home. I think we've all been through what our characters have been through, and so it was just fun to be like, hey, I got your back. Let's go create a scene. And
nice,
yeah.
nice. And this film is along the horror vibes, so it is like a horror film. And are there any horror films that you both like to watch?
They're scary. I don't really like them horror films. They make me all scary. Man, I grew up with 80s horror films, so I like the element of the cheesy horror film. I mean, I was traumatized by the Child's Play series growing up, so I'm like, I couldn't look at a doll for. I mean, I still have trouble with dolls, but yeah, I mean, I like those little jump scare things a lot. And then like, I'm a huge fan of psychological thrillers, anything where it's scary that could be real, which I think we fall in line with that. Like, we're following in the path of like, your brain playing tricks on you over past trauma. I like that world, and although it can have jump scares, it's still something that we relive. Where I'm like, oh, if I only said yes, or if I only did this, and it haunts you. So, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat with you as far as I like psych thrillers. I mean, my scary as I like is like Seven, like gory,
yeah,
good movie.
Like that kind of stuff is my bag. As far as just straight up horror, I'm not that versed in it, but yeah, stuff like, of course, like the Halloweens or Chucky's or like stuff like that. I've seen, and I respect a lot. But yeah, psych thrillers is my favorite stuff.
Awesome. And I know you guys are on a press day, so the last question I will ask you both is, where could fans follow the film and follow you both at?
Cool. Me is onlyfans.com. No, if you can get you can get the film is at Art of a Hit on Instagram. You can follow everything there. And then check out my Instagram if you want to see dumb things, just at Rob Raco. And we're going to be posting about this film for the next while, and so you can see in. And then Ryan is, what's yours? At Ryan Sexy Man? At
Ryan, the real Ryan Sexiness. No,
I do follow.
Just Ryan Donowho, same thing. Instagram, I have that, and Twitter. I don't really do much else social. But yeah, Art of a Hit on Instagram. And I don't know if there's a website up yet, but
sure there is.
I think that
Sure.
Sure.
We act. August 20th. That's where you can see. August 20th, worldwide on any streaming and on demand.
I don't know where it's
awesome.
I didn't even I'm learning Bob, I
don't know. Well, great.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. It was really awesome meeting you two. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Raco.
Thank you, Raco. Thank you.
Thank you,
Have
sir.
a good one.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.